Hello and welcome to Show and Sell, the show that celebrates digging through other people's trash. Hello, Trash Dragons. I am Chris, Trash Dragon of the West. That is my guitar, Mr. Blankenship.
Hi,
I'm
Mr.
Mr. Blankenship.
And Mr. Blankenship told me that you guys should like this episode and subscribe, and reminded me that I sell on eBay and Discogs, all from one note. Ooh,
Wow,
Mr. Blankenship.
he's talented.
Yeah, it's a beautiful language.
I'm Katie, and I'm Trash Dragon of the South, and I'm always on the hunt for clothing and accessories and anything sparkly, shiny, and sometimes a little bit weird.
And I'm Joe. I'm the Trash Dragon of the East, and I am joined here once again by Mr. Francis M. Derg. And I don't have an erudite guitar, but I do have a very squirmy little dog. And I would just like to say that I buy... Sorry. He's okay. He's just a little bit shaken up, and not nearly as shaken up as I am trying to set him down. Anyway, I was going to point out that I currently have a multi-tool soaking in rubbing alcohol because my friend Chrissy called me the other day and said, I have a dead snake here. Do you want it? And I said, hell yes, because Halloween is coming.
Oh yeah, the bones. It's all snake bones.
It's all
Wow.
snake bones. Lots of snake vertebrae, lots of snake ribs, and a small part of a snake skull. One second, I have to. Now it looks like I have to put him on the bed. So, oh my god, this is a much pampered dog.
Francis is high maintenance.
Yes,
he's a high maintenance pup.
That's what you clearly like, though.
I mean, yeah, I do. I do love a high maintenance dog. I'd be into it.
Yeah. Anyone have updates that they would like to share with us?
I have an update.
Yes, Katie.
I would like to talk about this shirt that I made that says, "We do beg your pardon, but we are in your garden." And if you are a fan of the show Would I Lie to You on Channel 4, I believe, in British TV, Bob Mortimer tells a story about a game he used to play when he was a kid, and I'll turn around and show the back and see if you can see it. Hold on. It's going to be real classy.
Okay. There we go.
Theft and
Shrubbery. Okay.
That was the game. So I'm encouraging everyone to please go on YouTube and look up the clip about Bob Mortimer telling the story about the game he played when he was a kid called Theft and Shrubbery. It is fantastic.
My update, our guest, Jen Cohen from episode number 4, who is a fantabulous person and a good friend. I just went to her birthday party last night, so I got to see her in all of her glory. So that was exciting. Check out that episode. I'll post in a link below. And you guys might know that Joe and I used to write for The Onion back in the day, but I am now back somewhat, doing some work for them. This is the new print edition of the paper. There hasn't been a print edition of The Onion for 11 years, since about the time we left. So it's this is just nice to be able to read this, being a huge fan. And I went to the other thing I'm just going to mention. This isn't going to be my item, but I went to the bins this morning because I have access to a car, and this is one of the 3 things I found. It's the last comic book on the left. That's our friend of the show, Marcus Parks. Show you probably know better than our show, but it was exciting. It's fun. It's always a mixed blessing when you see your friends' stuff in
the
thrift
remainder
stores. You're like,
I need to point out at this point that there is a similar to seeing your friends' books in a store. There's a poem by Clive James called "The Book of My Enemy Has Been Remaindered." It goes like this: "The book of my enemy has been remaindered, and I am pleased. In vast quantities it has been remaindered, like a van load of counterfeit that has been seized, and it sits in piles in a police warehouse. My enemy's much prized effort sits in piles. In the kind of bookshop where remaindering occurs, great square stacks of rejected books, and between them aisles." and it goes on. I just wanted
Oh
to
my
share that.
gosh.
It's
But should we move on to the item of joy?
yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, perfect. Let's do it. Joe, why don't you go first on the item of joy?
Okay.
I'm just going to try mixing it up, Katie. I'm not trying to.
No, it's good. I'm excited about Joe's because it's got an extra tidbit. Something's happening.
Okay, so here we go.
God.
I bought this book called Dark Frontier by Eugenia Macer Story. And this book by Eugenia Macer Story is about multidimensional reality as this manifests in both subtle and material contexts. So she was a local. I did a little bit of research and found out she lived around here and passed in 2012. I was like, bummer. I would like to, if there's a UFO oddball in the area, I want to know about it. So fast forward several months later to about 3 weeks ago, when I go to look at a house for a clean out, and there's a bunch of stuff, and the first thing that catches my eye is a big stack of paranormal books, just like those UK paranormal books, and then I see unopened cases of a book, like multiple, like I see a case of this book. And I see multiple cases of this book, The Legacy of Daedalus by Eugenia Macer Story, and about 5 copies of Congratulations, The UFO Reality by Eugenia Macer Story. And so I, who love to get a lot of things, ended up with a case of these books that I will be selling at a very reasonable price. This is, in the back is Eugenia Macer Story reading her poetry at a municipal event. A municipal event doesn't sound like a very romantic, but yeah, this is explorations of the ancient maze, forced translation, coexistence of primitive and advanced, Oak Island Enigma, and so on. I've got multiple copies of this. I have a case had 80 copies. I am so stoked because I love self-published UFO weirdness, and I am looking forward to putting this into the hands of anybody who wants it for the right price, or for my co-hosts, if they want a free copy, I will send them one.
Wait, so Joe, were you at her house? You're burying the lead.
Yeah.
Was this her house?
It was her house, but it's been seized. It had been seized by the bank for non-payment. It was.
Chris is not interested.
It was really rough condition. It was everything was. It was in very rough condition. Everything, it smelled totally musty. The copper piping had been stripped out, and people had ransacked the place. But apparently they were not. They didn't get the real treasures, which were the weird UFO books and the paranormal magazines and so on.
Oh, the magazines!
Yeah. I had to go grab this because my friend, one of my dearest friends, Jennifer Prediger, asked me to be a part of this called P.O. Box Outer Space. It's a self-published zine that she did with some friends out in Joshua Tree. And I am in there. I wrote it like a kid writing a pen pal to someone in outer space and wondering whether they have, it's called Good Fruit in Space. And it's just like a little thing I wrote, but the magazine's great. It's beautiful, slick, and it's got a whole bunch of funny, kooky people out in Joshua Tree, which I'm sure will be a big market for your books.
Yes.
Well,
I would market exclusively in Joshua Tree. Yeah. Actually,
I should have grabbed multiple cases of them. I let the rest of them go to the dump because I'm I don't have that room for that. She probably had there were probably about 6 cases left behind.
Oh God! Now we're back to the poem.
Yeah,
your books have been remain. Oh my gosh!
Wheels within wheels.
Circle of this is not pleasant.
I did not mean to bring us down.
It's an oberus.
Yeah.
Katie, would you? Yeah, thank you. Why don't you go?
I'll go quickly because that was excellent, and all of that should be left in the episode. My friend had a baby. And baby boys particularly are pretty fun to buy clothes for if you're me. I don't know why. I want every child to look like Oliver Twist, or if I find something like this.
Ooh.
It's a Prince Purple Rain onesie.
That is amazing.
It's the one, I think.
Yeah.
This is by a company called the Wild Bambino. I looked her up. It looks like she makes onesies out of, old t-shirts on Etsy, and I think she or they might have their own website, so go check them out. This is just a plug. I don't know the person, but this was pretty.
Was
pretty
That's
good.
a pretty good one. Yeah,
I got it at a resale site, but I probably would have bought this new. It's so good. Yeah,
it works really well. Like the way on the legs, it works surprisingly
exactly.
well.
Yeah, and then using the purple ribbing, very clever, very clever. All right, what you got, Chris?
So this is. I don't know if I've shown this. I might have, or maybe in one of our episodes where we were just kind of testing. But I brought this on because of our guest, Nick Preuher, who loves all things Pee-wee. But this is my signed copy of Clocky. It says, "To Harry, have a good time," in quotes, "love Clocky." So the thing I love about it is that it's signed not by the actor, but by Clocky.
It's great.
I've had 3 people ask if they could have it if I don't want it anymore, and I'm like,
if you don't want it anymore,
exactly. It's like I don't keep a lot of stuff from my thrifting. Like I choose, like it has to be really good to make it into my household collection, and that is by the door.
If you don't want it anymore,
I know.
I'm going to start trying that. I mean, I try it sometimes. I really like people's pocket change, so I'll sometimes be like, "That's not real money. Can I have that?" And I have big jars of change. I like Coinstar. I like the whole process. Anyways, it's bizarre, but I will say that's different than asking from an item, a signed item in someone's home. "Hey, can I have that?"
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get lost.
Just FYI, Katie, I've started using Beetlejuice Take the Wheel. Yeah, it's just an expression, which is something she texted me while we were discussing something a couple weeks ago. So
I forgot I texted that.
Beetlejuice Take the Wheel. And it makes me so happy. But you know what's going to make me even happier? We have a fantastic guest, Nick Preuher, Found Footage Festival. He's going and VCR party, and he's coming up next. Trash Dragon of the Week. Rawr. All right, welcome back. We have Nick Preuher, Trash Dragon of the Week. But Joe wanted to ask our first question. So go ahead, Joe.
So Nick, first question.
Yes.
How are you?
Good.
All right. Well,
all right. Good night, guys.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be on your show. I love this show. It's a great idea for a show. We all have the same mental illness, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Thank you for being a trash dragon.
Yeah. Well, the real question I have is, I've been following. We know each other in real life, IRL. Mm-hmm. The question I have is this: like on Instagram, you've been posting a few times. You probably posted maybe once every week or every other week about how you have taken a 1-year hiatus from buying anything on eBay or so on.
Yeah.
What's going on there? You're not buying. You're throttling you're throttling your illness right now.
I'm window shopping. I know. Well, I pay a lot, and I have 2 storage lockers, and then in Queens, New York, and those aren't cheap. And then I have 2 offices for my day job with the Found Footage Festival, and that houses part of my collection, the VHS side of it as well. Plus, my apartment is filled with stuff, and I share my apartment as well. So I was getting the itch to do that. And then the other thing is I got my taxes back, and I owe a lot of money in tax. And I went into some kind of new bracket and wasn't paying enough in. So anyway, that's the boring reason to say I needed money, and I kind of had to start selling some items that I could part with, and then not purchase new items I found on Marketplace anyway.
Wait, I have a question. Do you know everything that's in your storage? Are you organized enough to have a list, or when you go in, is it kind of like Christmas where in the back it's a surprise?
It's a delightful surprise.
That's great.
I always thought like one good way to sell things off rather than do eBay is to do, you remember like when people would win money on Wheel of Fortune, then they would have they would like browse through. The camera would browse through a showcase room with the ceramic panther, and they would have to kind of. I think that's an entertaining show. Like, go live on Facebook from your storage locker and just be, have somebody on the line and be like, I'll take that Urkel puzzle for 15, and the rest all goes on a gift certificate. But I don't know. I just get so eBay and Marketplace feel so soulless. I know, Joe, you have the option to kind of put your wares out in person, and that's more attractive to me as well. So I have friends from New Jersey and some friends in Chicago who just opened vintage shops because I think that was their way to justify their collecting. The same way, like, we started Found Footage Festival to justify our VHS collection. It's like, well, at least I'm doing something with it and can kind of monetize it. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of New Jersey friends, are you speaking of Rascal Salvage Vintage? So to speak?
Michelle and Rob over there. Yeah,
never met them. We follow each other on Instagram. And I've seen their Falcor.
Yes. Yeah.
What is the story? I mean, we should probably have them on at some point.
I can put you in touch. That's how I got to know them too. Basically, they had some artist friends that made a life-size Falcor from just the head from the Never-Ending Story as kind of an art project. And like a lot of people, they ran out of space to store it, and they made a new and upgraded one. And when you're friends with weirdos, you get a tip like, "Hey, I got this Falcor head that's kind of just sitting in our artist studio. Would you want that?"
Wait, do you have the head?
I don't, but my friend Michelle, so she drove her now husband Rob just with a pickup truck and said, "I'm not telling you where we're going." And they drove to this artist studio and they picked up the life-size Falcor head. And it now resides in a storage locker in this little town called High Bridge, New Jersey, where their vintage store is. And they posted a picture of it, a Falcor head sitting in a storage locker. And I just drove out and messaged them. And she's like, "I'll give you the tour." And sure enough, the storage locker, door goes up and there's Falcor. Took my picture, and now they bring them out for special events and screenings. And, she's talking about getting a trailer and having them like Falcor for hire. So,
Okay. Remember, Chris?
Private detective, Falcor for hire.
When you said earlier that people ask you if they can just buy that, this is a scenario where I might do that. Like, I might pull up and be like, "Are you done with him? Can I purchase him from you?"
Right.
Like,
like you too, they have a lot of clothing that they can't fit in their store. So it's all in those yellow and black bins. It's to the ceiling with that, and then Falcor, and that's all that can fit in the storage locker.
It's my dream storage unit, basically, is what you're describing. That's wow.
Wait, now who's in California and who's in New York?
I'm in California.
Okay.
New York.
It'd be a hike, but you could drive to New Jersey to go see Falcor. Maybe make an offer to Michelle and company.
Yeah, I would have a really hard time explaining to my husband why, though. It would be a scenario a lot like
it's going to make money, honey.
Yeah.
I
can't afford
I also want one of those giant dinosaur costumes, not the blow up ones, but the ones where people are in it like a puppet. I'm interested in those, and I've been looking at those for a minute, and he just shakes his head.
I've actually thought about moving to a house just so that I can house, like, I'm out of wall space, Yeah, I mean, that idea or opening a shop is always attractive, although then you always have the idea of your hobby becomes a burden, So that's always like, hey, have you been to Starland in Nashville, Katie? Starland Vintage. Starland Emporium, it's called. It's a vintage shop. It's not a thrift store, but super well curated. So we did a show in Nashville, and then we had merch money, and I spent it all at Starland the next day, and it was mostly on one thing. They had a jean jacket, and I collect cast and crew jackets from movies and TV, and but they had one that was from a musical tour. It was Reba McEntire, but it was sponsored by Tropicana Juice. So it was like, kind of like neon on the back of a jean jacket that said Reba, but then the big Tropicana logo on it. And I'm like, if I leave here without this, I will regret it for the rest of my life. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll wear it on fall days, but that's... I had to have it.
I also collect cast and crew, like mainly shirts, but occasionally find the jacket. So I've always, every time I see one of yours, I'm always like, because I live in the land of cast and crew cast off. You know, and because out here it's like you can find stuff for like weird shows because people are, like, I mean, they're just up to their neck in it. You know, like if everyone you know has this shirt already, it becomes worthless, even if there's only 20.
That's just it. Like at the time, like, so I worked at the Letterman show for 4 years or so. We got a new jacket every year, one of those like letter jackets with the leather sleeves and stuff that would say Worldwide Pants, the production company, on it. And then when I quit the show, eventually I was like, what am I going to do with those? And those were just off to a Goodwill somewhere. And like now I really want those because it's been 20 years and I bet that's the same. It's just worthless. So whenever, like, sometimes we'll interview or we'll meet celebrities, I always ask, like, what kind of cast and crew jackets are you sitting on? Like, did you get one when you, like, I know the guys from Pete and Pete, you know, and I'm like, hey, did you guys get, you know, cast and crew things, jackets or gifts for those? Because I'm just curious. It's such a weird showbiz thing that I don't know if everybody knows about.
It's a weird, musicals do it too. I have saved in one of my searches, there's a Les Mis touring jacket that I really want. And it was a kid's though. So it's from there's like 2 kids in the show. And so it's like a boy's size, I don't know, 12, 14 or something. And I'm like, can I fit that? If I can fit that, I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
And Gaston or whatever the kid's name is.
I think a lot of these, like, the reason I got obsessed with cast and crew jackets is there's a place in my neighborhood, Long Island City, Queens, that's called Just Things. And this old woman packs like 3 packs a day. It smokes like 3 packs a day.
Or at least her voice sounds like it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And just this great little shop. It's exactly what it sounds like. And in the back one time, I saw an All My Children cast and crew jacket that said Debbie on it. And she was charging $50 for it. And I'm like, nah, I can't really justify that. And then I went back a month later and it was gone. And I still, every time I go in there, I still talk about it. She's like, you should have bought it. Ah, ha, 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 ha.
Honey, you like it's like the deepest, raspiest voice.
Yeah. Like, she's a lovely, and so she still remembers that too. And she's like, I never had anything like that in the shop. And so now I think I'm trying to make up for it somehow by collecting these jackets.
The best thing I have is I found 2 like shirts for Magnum PI cast and crew, which has like the Tom Selleck, and I think they're vintage. Like they were just probably like someone put a couple of them. Then the other one was I found a Book of Boba Fett cast shirt, like 5 months before the show aired.
they were already like, this show's gonna be shit. So,
so like I was just like, I found it for like $4 and sold it for like 200. Like
amazing,
a month before the show, like took off, because it was just like the hype was coming and everyone's just like, well, I'm gonna get it now. And I was just like, fantastic.
I probably would have clicked hard on that. I mean, wouldn't have pulled the trigger, but
I would have clicked so hard on that.
That's all you can do.
We talked to your found footage festival partner, Joe Pickett.
Yes.
And like you guys grew up together, but what's your thrifting origin story? Like, how did you get your start?
Maybe this is familiar to some of you, but grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, outside of Madison, Wisconsin. Not a lot going on, so we would entertain ourselves, and a lot of that was stopping by the St. Vinny's or the Goodwills, and we would find, T-shirts. Like at that time, it wasn't picked over with funny T-shirts, so we'd find those. I got really into leisure suits. So I was the high schooler wearing leisure suits and funny sport coats and things like that. That was, early 90s. And then also, 1992-ish, we started finding VHS tapes. And VHS tapes were so valuable, at least the ones for movies, that those weren't the ones ending up at Goodwill. It was like it was like the exercise videos or potty training videos that, the kid grows up, you don't need those anymore. Mm-hmm. And as teens who loved irony, it was funny to, on a Friday night, buy the tape that came when you called the 1-800 number for the Hair Club for Men, that tried to get you to join it, and take that and watch that with a bunch of friends. We didn't drink or do drugs. That was just like in our parents' basement watching old tapes. And then, you kind of like, oh, this is fun. So to fuel the fire, we just started kind of expanding our thrifting. And I don't know if Joe talked about this, but answering machines were turning up, and you'd open them up and pop out the tapes, and then you could put them in your car and listen to them. And so on a road trip, we'd listen to somebody's incoming and outgoing answering machine messages. So I don't know. I think boredom is the answer. I think you're bored and there's nothing to do really. So you're looking for entertainment.
That's why Canada and the Midwest are where comedians come from.
That's my theory. Yeah. They're so far removed from show business and that is a career path that it's like, let's make our own entertainment.
Yeah,
well, speaking of making entertainment in your hometown, can you talk about Metal Mom for a second?
Yeah. Oh, this is a thrift story too. I didn't think about it, but I remember growing up as a sheltered kid. I was not an only child, but my parents treated me like I was. I was very coddled, and so I was just completely like. When the metal kids in my high school, I was so scared of them because they would wear these terrifying T-shirts. Yeah. And I remember one in particular, like some kid for school photos wore the Metallica Metal Up Your Ass T-shirt with the knife sticking out of the toilet. Yeah. I was like, you're wearing that to school? Are you nuts? Are you Charles Manson?
This is going on your permanent record.
Meanwhile, later you get to know metal people. They're the nicest.
The nicest.
This is just an outlet, So, later I met a thrift store in Missouri, and I found a Metal Up Your Ass, that same T-shirt. I mean, probably not the same one that my high school metalhead classmate was wearing, but
that was buried with him.
Exactly. But a well-worn vintage Metal Up Your Ass Metallica shirt, and on that same tour, we're driving up and ended up in Wisconsin, and I'm at my parents' house, and I thought, it'd be funny to have my sweet Midwestern mom, who's more of a James Taylor fan, she's probably heard of Metallica, but that's as far as it goes. I doubt she'd heard any of their music. But I said, let's have her like baking a pie, and I thought it'd just be a funny image of her baking a pie or barbecuing or something, wearing this obscene T-shirt, and it made me laugh. And so then anytime I was at a thrift store and found like a Sepultura shirt or Cradle of Filth, I just thought, this would even be funnier for my mom to wear. The more satanic and crocus, the more like deep cut, the better. And and my mom just has a very sweet Midwestern look. So I would have her doing various mom things and chores and grocery shopping, but wearing, insecticide,
It's really funny.
Metal shirts. And it just kind of became, Wasp, yep. Just this series. And then our hometown in Stoughton, Wisconsin has a very corny Norwegian Independence Day parade called Syttende Mai. Joe, have you ever been to Syttende Mai?
I never have. That's my loss.
It is, yeah. It's the largest Norwegian independence celebration parade, including ones in Norway. It's bigger because it's like, you move away. My hometown's almost entirely Norwegian. So anyway,
they say.
Yeah, Ufta. And as a kid, I remember the parades being so great and wonderful, and characters, and then I watched some public access broadcasts of them in recent years, and I was like, what happened? Like, it's almost like the kids today don't care about parades. There's more to do than watch Little Caesars go by with a mascot and wave. And so I just inquired with the Chamber of Commerce. I'm like, could I put my mom in a parade? And they're like, well, as long as there's some kind of Norwegian heritage. And I was like, Norwegian black metal, here we go. Yeah. So we built a Viking ship with like shields that had knitting needles and things on that, and a throne made of knitting needles, and had my mom there wearing a Iron Maiden sweater and waving to people on this like dragon boat, black metal dragon boat, while a soundtrack of heavy metal played, and it was great. But then this weird religious protester started showing up, and so I said, I don't want to deal with that. But
Yeah.
but
Do you have
it's still
pictures?
funny to me. Yeah, there's pictures and there's video of it. Yeah.
And you also had didn't you also have the balloon made?
Yeah, the hometown parade had never had like a Macy's style balloon, so I found a company that would make one. So I made one of my mom wearing a metal shirt, and we had my aunts and like relatives holding this helium balloon. We're also wearing metal shirts that I'd found at the thrift stores, and it was a big hit with kids. But then helium got really expensive, so now I just kind of blow it up with air and have it on my parents' lawn.
This is your life's work. I feel
Yeah.
like. I'm sorry. Like I know,
Yeah.
like it's amazing to me that you do other things because this is so good. This is enough. Like
Well,
you've contributed to society in the best possible way with Metal Pong.
Thank you. I
and
was
you're
just
still doing
yeah.
other stuff. Wow.
The funniest part to me is that my mom is just kind of an unwilling participant. She's just kind of like, okay, I'll do it. She's a good sport, but this
Oh,
isn't her.
sure, honey.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When my mom, I grabbed a bunch of photos of my mom and dad for the Onion. And they were just like, just don't tell us when it shows up. And we're like, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, just having a good-natured family that plays ball, even if they don't completely understand it.
Exactly. So, what kind of stuff? What kind of goodies did you bring us today?
Okay. So I brought three things. They're all things that I have on display in my home, and one is I think the greatest thrift store original art that I found, and I found it at a Savers on Long Island. This is in Ronkonkoma, or somewhere nearby Long Island, and I just noticed that it still has the price tag on it. It was $5.99.
Okay.
there we go.
There we
Go,
go.
Savers.
For this art, I think this might be the biggest art theft in history for $6.99. This is the sun shining
Right.
unicorn, a Pegasi, and then a little boy in diapers, kind of with weird posture, on the beach.
Yeah.
It's too big. That boy is too big.
He's huge.
for
Yeah.
this reference.
No one believed that little boy.
That's
No,
a
and
logical
this is-
child.
It turned out to be Alex Jones.
Yeah. And I found this, and it's one of those things, I'm sure you get this when you're at a thrift store, and you're like, you kind of like your heart starts racing, and you quickly
Yes.
kind of like do a quick walk, because you're like, somebody's going to scoop this up before I do. Let me just I don't want to be too conspicuous about this, so let me just do you kind of just do this quick walk over, and you're like, okay, let me play casual here.
I got the frame. Like,
And you're like, let me look at the price. Okay, seems reasonable, $5.99. I would have paid $1,000 for this. I have a photo of me the day I found this. I was with an ex-girlfriend. She took a photo of me, and I celebrate the anniversary of when I found this painting. And it even has a signature, and I've tried to track down the person. I can't, I've looked like Long Island, but yeah, 1983.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So it's an oil on canvas. It's an original. That's incredible.
Yeah. You can see all the detail.
Yeah,
it's not a print, but yeah, you can see all the brush strokes and everything.
I like how like the clouds look like it's an egg cracking from the sunlight. Like there's that kind of like almost physical. I was trying to get a sense of it. I'm like, is something breaking here? Like,
Chris, that is the yoke of Jesus. You know, in the Bible.
And it's also just because the rays aren't radial, so to speak. They're just kind of like two lines that are almost parallel, and a third line that looks like, oh, I forgot to put those at an angle. Whoop.
Yeah. So I saw a listing for an estate sale maybe 10 years ago that it was this was on Long Island, and in the guy's basement they had he was a dentist, but it was like out of the basement of the home was the dental practice. And so sure enough, dental chairs, teeth molds, devices, and weirdly like dolls, because I think that whoever was managing the estate was just putting a bunch of stuff. So like porcelain dolls sitting on a
Don't put
dentist
the
chair.
dolls there.
No, yeah.
No, don't. No.
And I was like, what? I mean, kid in a candy store. I didn't know what to pick. I would have bought the dental chair if I had room for it. But all I left with was this, which is a tooth color matcher. So
Wow.
if they were doing dental implants, I guess you would say, okay, they're probably a 30, and then you would pull off this thing, this tooth, and see that the color roughly matched. This person was probably a smoker, and it had this gradation of tooth colors, and so yeah, now I have this in my bathroom on a shelf with other
That's
dental
awesome.
things I found.
It's weird because the ends feel like they're about the same. How are like?
Right.
Why are there like?
I wonder if maybe they got out of order at some point during the estate.
Oh, okay.
Because these do tend to fall out. But yeah, you'd think it would be more of a
hill than
yeah. But yeah,
Menorah of Teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Yep.
Wow.
The teeth actually lasted for more than 30 days. It was a miracle.
And we have the name of the episode, Menorah of Teeth.
Yes. Yeah, so this is prominently on display in my. I do like dental models and teeth molds, and I have a crystal tooth that I found at an estate sale. That's like a big like paperweight kind of thing.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Just have
I
a
like
shelf
the teeth
of dental things there, but yeah, pretty cheap, and
Very good.
more importantly, there's room for it in my apartment. There's a place in Cleveland I went to, and this was what I'm about to show you, which is a photo that was signed, but it became kind of a I don't know what you call it, like how people frame parts of a jersey, with a signature of like a sports team.
Yeah.
But I saw this behind, and I said, that's not for sale, right? Because like, no. It took me a good half hour of negotiating to get him to sell this, and to part with this. And I'm like, I have to tell you, this will go to a good home. It will be appreciated and cherished. Finally, he relented. So that's why this is a prized possession. This is in my bathroom as well. This is a framed portrait of a men's stripping group called the Chicago Meat Packers.
No, it's not.
And they this is signed not to a woman, as you might think. Yeah, this is signed by Upton Sinclair. Yeah. No, this was signed to a guy named Jim, who apparently was a big fan. Jim, Heat Me Up, and signed by Tyler.
Heat Me Up?
Heat Me Up, yeah. So apparently not only ladies were their audience, but I guess that Jim decided to frame it this way with some hunk-worn denim. This isn't a painting. This is a three-dimensional part of a button fly from the jeans of, I'm guessing, Tyler on here, who's probably Jim's favorite. But this is original, framed and by this person who really enjoyed the Chicago Meat Packers. There's some reference to the Chicago Meat Packers in a book that I saw online, but otherwise they're sort of lost to history.
You keep the flame alive, my friend.
Not anymore.
Yeah, so this is just truly like if there was a fire in my apartment, this would be the first thing I would grab. Then my dog, and but
Yeah.
But this is just the framed denim.
It's good. It's really
It's
good.
really-
Yeah. And also, I had to like use every bit of charm and
I love that.
negotiating to get the guy to part with it.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be a hard thing to give up. But do you have enough time to hang out for the next segment?
Absolutely.
Which is Joe?
Hails from the Flypt!
Tales from the Flypt. Tales from the Flypt. The question topic is, what's an unexpected benefit of being a collector thrifter? Katie, why don't you go?
You always have something to wear. Sorry, that's only in my specific realm of thrifting. I would say an unexpected benefit is a lot of thrifters tend to also give very good gifts because we're good at finding things.
Right.
So you sort of learn how to train your eye to find the thing in the place. And I've been able to find very specialized gifts for friends that can only be found in a thrift store. So that's a bonus. It's good to be like a personalized gift giver, you know?
Right.
That's a nice thing.
That's a good one, Joe. What about
I think the advantage is I think that gifting is actually a very important thing because I've been able to find a lot of stuff that is, it is like a chicken and egg scenario though, because on the one hand, it's like, this is great because it keeps me out of trouble with Hannah, my wife, for bringing all this crazy shit home. But conversely, it's also, if I didn't bring the stuff home, I wouldn't have to bribe her with other stuff I found. So, that's it's not even a catch-22. The obvious answer is stop bringing stuff home, but I would sooner die. But it's just, I think the thing is it really opens up a kind of sense of wonder for me. Like just the stuff, like all the different things you see and you're just like, what is this? And you just start investigating and looking into stuff and you find something and it's just like, it sort of scratches a curiosity for you. And you're just like, and so you just learn a lot of different, learn a lot about, you learn a little bit about a lot of stuff. And I just really like that about thrifting. It's just like the weird things you can encounter and what they're good for. I know that a friend of mine used to work at, there's a store in Chicago called American Science and Surplus that used to have, they would basically sell a lot of stuff like that. They would sell they'd buy a pallet of industrial switches or whatever, and then they'd bring it into the store and they'd sell it for $3 a piece or whatever. And there was a team. They had 2 people that's whole job. This was before the internet was really prominent. This is in the mid to late 90s. Their job was basically to research the stuff they bought so they could figure out what it was. There's also a very funny story about Ding Dong, a colleague who Ding Dong ditched an argon laser at a super collider facility, but it's not my story to tell. Anyway,
for me, it's you come across things. I love just be like you said, it inspires a sense of awe and wonder, and you come across things and little bits of history that if you aren't looking for it, you'll never find them. Someone gave me just bags of ephemera. And one of the things I remember being blown away by most was a Pasadena grade school yearbook with Sirhan Sirhan in it, the killer of Robert Kennedy. So you get to see this kid as, he was 14 or something like that, and or 12. And it's just it's amazing that I was able to see this. Not everyone has. Nick?
Those are all great answers. The unexpected benefit for me, because thrifting to me is such a personal thing. This is what I collect. Here's the things I like. Here's my little thing that I've carved out. And when you're at a thrift store, I'll go with friends, but then you're kind of on your solo mission. But I think the friendships are what I didn't expect, is meeting people like the people at Rascal Salvage Vintage in New Jersey who found a Falcor. And they're like, can you believe it? And I'm like, no. And now they're like, find something I find, and are like, whoa, or people know I collect cast and crew jackets. And so I get boxes in the mail, or they'll come to one of our shows and gift me those things. And so we trade, you find kindred spirits out there. And I think that's one of the lovely parts of being a collector and a thrifter that I didn't expect.
Right. So the real thrift score was the friends you made along the way.
That's a good way of putting it, Chris. Yeah.
Aww.
But that's that's kind of that's the thing I love about the show is Katie and Joe and I all share like a kind of very simpatico worldview as far as thrifting, even though we like different stuff, but the attitude is the same. And then bringing in people who love a thing, like, or love this thing and can talk about it. And oh yeah, Eric Drysdale doing the stereo panorama, Jen Cohen doing the egg cups. I was thinking last night about we had a guest who's a friend of ours, who CJ Lotes, who like just walks around Charleston, North Carolina, and finds pottery embedded in the dirt, and she picks it up, cleans it, and brings it. And it's just like, that's such an interesting look into her life, like just the fact, and it coincides with her collecting because it becomes kind of part of her routine. So
yeah, the other thing too is I think thrifting, at least for me, maybe it's how you spin it, but like it can give you a very positive view of humanity, whereas like the news and things don't. But like, you're at a thrift store and you find a toilet brush holder that's in the shape of a clown with a clothespin on its nose, and you're like, humanity has always been stupid and wonderful.
Yeah.
And those ideas are simultaneously true and always will be true. And, those aren't the artifacts that are celebrated at the, Museum of Art or of History or, but those little objects, I think, say a lot about us as a species, and that we're stupid and wonderful, and we always will be.
And I also love, like, when you find things that are just like, someone was passionate about this. They wanted to do this thing and they did it. I remember going to see a musician. I think his name was That One Guy, and he made all of his own instruments. And then he played songs that he wrote using all these instruments. And I remember standing nearby someone, and someone's just like, "Man, this guy has too much free time." I'm like, I don't think he does. I think he's doing exactly what he wants to do with his life.
Right.
Exactly how he wants to spend it, which I think is amazing. Like making your own instruments and then recording songs with them sounds like a good use of free time to me.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the positive spin you get from being a collector.
Right. But guys, I think we did it. Is this a 5-star A++ episode?
Wait. Let me think.
Yeah. Joe, we got it.
It sure is.
See you, Joe. So 2 thumbs up, many pluses,
Absolutely.
many stars.
A plus.
Fireworks, all that.
So thank you, Nick, so
Thank
much
you,
for
Nick.
coming on. We will have
Thank
you on again if you will you bear us.
I think he's got more stuff to show.
Yeah,
He's got to come back.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, no, we'll have you definitely back on, and so check out Found Footage Festival and VCR Parties, which runs every Fridays, right?
Tuesday nights on YouTube.
Okay, yep. Tuesday nights on YouTube. So let's play that song everyone's clamoring for. Thank you for watching Show and Sell. If you remember, hey, like, share, subscribe. If you know, everything is gonna be alright. And if you do, things are gonna be a little bit brighter for us. Visit algorithm controlling all of our lives. Thank you for watching Show and Sell. If you remember, ring the bell.
Ding.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for having you on, and we'll see you all soon. Bye, everybody.
We love you all. Bye.
Hey, thanks for coming, everybody.